Good morning. My name is Ben Holquist. I serve as one of your Board of Trustee members, and I'm happy to welcome you to Tacoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Longtime members and new visitors alike, you are welcome here. Whether you are joining us here in the sanctuary or online, we're glad you're here. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders, and love is the power that holds us together. If this is your first time with us, I bid you a special welcome. I'm so glad you found your way to our community. After the service, I'll be back in the back of the sanctuary, right over there, back corner there. Oh, we've changed the art. It's not pears anymore. Sorry, I was about to say the pears, but no, it's in the back corner. About any questions you have about Unitarian Universalism, about our congregation, or if you want to talk about how to get involved in our community, or if you'd like your donation receipt, I'll talk about that in a second. For those of you here in the sanctuary, we have hearing assistance devices and large print hymnals available in the back of the sanctuary. Our ushers will be happy to help you with these. For our online folks, the chat chaplain will help guide the service and answer any questions you may have. You can find information on our website, tahomauu.com. The weekly e-news comes out on Fridays. If you have something you'd like to put in it, the due date is midnight on Thursday. If you are signed up yet, that can be done from our homepage on our website. We've been trying to cut down our announcements, but I'm going to go on and on today. I apologize, but it's going to be all dates. So please listen on. We are going to have, for the first time, I won't say we were a 100-year-old congregation, so I won't say it for the first time ever, but for the first time in recent memory, we are going to just have an informational meeting to give you a 6-month view of where we are financially this year. It's not a meeting, there's no votes. It's just for us, the board, to give you information about what we've spent, what we're expecting to spend, how our donations have been coming in, and just give you a little bit of background in preparation for the stewardship drive and in preparation for the June congregational meeting. So we're trying to be more transparent and offer a little bit more information than we have historically. I also want to mention that we're going to try and have a committee leadership meeting after church on February 23rd. If you are in the leadership of a committee, or if you would like to be in the leadership of a committee, or if you're just really interested in how we run committees, we would love it if you would stay after church on the 23rd. We're going to talk about how we can spend money, what the forms are. Sean will be here to talk through his part of the process. And then we can just kind of get some feedback from the committees about what you need structurally and any other things that the board can do to support your work. So that is February 23rd, right after church. The board meeting for February is going to be on February 27th. That's the 4th Thursday as opposed to the 3rd Thursday. The new member luncheon will be March 2nd, right after church. We're at the point where we're having 2 new member luncheons within 6 months. I'm really excited to see that. The 3rd Friday potluck is happening on the 2nd Friday this month. That is this coming Friday, the 14th. So we had to accommodate our speaker, but we're going to have our 3rd Friday potluck on the 14th, which is the 2nd Friday. I have a big box of envelopes that has everybody's donation receipt for the past 12 months. So the 2024 year for your tax records, if you need those. We would love it if you would pick it up from us now when we haven't paid for a stamp on it. We will mail it to you if you don't pick it up. But if you could stop by, I'll be in the back over there. I'll also look at what the art piece is right there so I can use a guide around. My vision isn't good enough. But if you have donated money under your name, so that means if you bought a ticket to the cabaret last spring, if you donated at the auction or bought anything at the auction, anything like that, even if you don't have a regular pledge, we have a donation receipt for you. Last and absolutely not least, it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce Kinsey Shackelford, our new Director of Religious Education. I'll give her a moment to introduce herself.
Good morning. It is so lovely to see you all. I have felt so incredibly welcomed by all of you. Thank you to everybody who cleaned out my office. I heard that it was quite the endeavor. Thank you to everybody who made paper flowers and art. I haven't stopped smiling all week. And I really look forward to meeting all of you, to engaging in religious exploration with your young people. And I'm so, so, so grateful to be here. Thank you for a warm welcome.
And my very last announcement. We need one more volunteer for religious exploration downstairs today. So if you would be willing to go down when the children go down, we would really appreciate it because we can't run it downstairs without 2 volunteers. So, and in fact, if you would let Kinsey know as soon as possible so that we can be confident before we go down, we'll set that up. We just sorted it out. Thank you, everyone. Excellent. We're very can-do community once you tell us what we need. It will be on March 9th. March 9th after the service. I'm suddenly worried that I didn't actually say that before. Thank you, Cindy. March 9th after the service, we will have the informational meeting to give just the quick update on the finances of the church as we get ready for the coming year. All right, on to the screen. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And then
we had one other announcement. So as many of you are aware, we've been working with the Trans Resistance Network and Pink Haven to help folks relocate from unsafe areas. And there's a passenger that we supported this summer who is currently in an unsafe living situation in the Beacon Hill area, who needs to be able to have a room for maybe 2 to 3 months to get back on her feet and get a job down here in the Tacoma area. If anyone has a spare room in their house that they would be willing to share with this person for 2 or 3 months, please contact me today, because she needs to get out now. So thank you for that.
all right. Anybody else have any announcements that are really burning? We do. All right. For those who couldn't hear, there will be an event at Olympia on President's Day. And I'm sorry, can you stand up and hold up your hand again just real quick? If you have thoughts or questions or want to know more information, Nate. All righty, thank you. You're also invited to join us for social hour over there. Immediately following the service right here in the sanctuary. For those of you who are visiting or who are new, we have red coffee mugs, which tell us that we should introduce ourselves to you. If you take a white coffee mug, we will only talk to you as much as we normally talk to people, which is a lot. As we begin our service today, I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nation, land from which they were forcibly displaced. I affirm the continued sovereignty of the 574 federally recognized tribes, including the 29 here in Washington, and support those still fighting for federal recognition. I acknowledge the theft, violence, trauma, and racism that Indigenous people have experienced at the hand of colonizers from 1492 through to the present day. I honor the resiliency of the Indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to fight for land, water, visibility, sovereignty, and their very existence. Lastly, friends, I invite you to set your electronic devices to worship mode. We are gathered here, one community, together. Let us settle ourselves into this holy moment and open our hearts to learn and unlearn, to share and to receive. And now let us join together in worship.
Thank you, Marianne, for that gift of music. Our opening words are a responsive reading today. You can follow along in your hymnal. It's number 597, or the words will also be behind me on the screen. And I'm going to read the ones that come first, and you'll read the second. So it starts, never does hatred cease hating in return. Victory breeds hatred. They who give up all thought of victory or defeat let us overcome violence by gentleness. Let us overcome the miserly by liberality. Our cellist this lighter, many of you may recognize if you've been here for a while, my good friend, Jo Anne Geron. Jo was a member of this congregation as she was raising her son, Gabe, who is now a full-grown adult. But she is returning to share some of the work that she's been doing out in the community that is taking up her time. And please join me for the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And that brings us to our opening hymn. It is Around, number 188 in the gray hymnal, and Patty will be leading us.
Janie is going to help us out. We're going to sing this as a, I just realized that my pages are messed up here. We're going to sing this one time all the way through, and then we will sing it as a round twice through. Janie will lead the first group, and I will lead the second group. I'm going to stay here because all of the wonderful people on Zoom cannot hear you guys very well, so I will stay here, but focus on it. Okay, with that, Marianne. Come, wander, worship, lover of freedom, as this dark caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worshiper, lover of the leaving, as is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worshiper, lover of leaving, as there's no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Very well done. Thank you, Janie.
All right, we have come to that part of our service that is time for all ages. So I'd like to invite those of you young and young at heart to join me up front for a story. Let's see. Oh, it is working. I love it when technology works. Good morning, all of my friends. It's so good to see you all. What is that? Weekend vibes. Your shirt does say that, Evelyn, and I'm feeling it. Yep, and this is a picture that she drew. And that is the end of our story this morning. If you would please rise to sing the children out. We will do. We hold you in our love as you grow. We have come to the time in our service for the sharing of our gifts and our treasure to sustain this church that we call community. None of the work that we do here at this church happens without your time, your talents, and your funding. If our ushers would please come forward. If you'll join me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate ourselves and our offering to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. And that brings us to our meditation hymn. It's in the Teal hymnal, number 1002, Comfort Me.
This is a poem called Home by Warsan Shire. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well. Your neighbors running faster than you, breath bloody in their throats. The boy you went to school with who kissed you dizzy behind the old tin factory is holding a gun bigger than his body. You only leave home when home won't let you stay. No one leaves home unless home chases you. Fire under feet, hot blood in your belly. It's not something you ever thought of doing until the blade burnt threats into your neck. And even then you carried the anthem under your breath, only tearing up your passport in an airport toilet, sobbing as each mouthful of paper made it clear that you wouldn't be going back. You have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one burns their palms under trains, beneath carriages. No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck, feeding on newspaper unless the miles traveled means something more than journey. No one crawls under fences. No one wants to be beaten, pitied. No one chooses refugee camps or strip searches where your body is left aching, or prison, because prison is safer than a city of fire, and one prison guard in the night is better than a truckload of men who look like your father. No one could take it. No one could stomach it. No one skin would be tough enough. The go-home blacks, refugees, dirty immigrants, asylum seekers, sucking our country dry, niggers with their hands out, they smell strange, savage, messed up their country, and now they want to mess up ours. How do the words, the dirty looks, roll off your backs? Maybe because the blow is softer than a limb torn off. Or the words are more tender than 14 men between your legs, or the insults are easier to swallow than rubble, than bone, than your child body in pieces. I want to go home, but home is the mouth of a shark. Home is the barrel of a gun, and no one would leave home unless home chased you to the shore, unless home told you to quicken your legs, leave your clothes behind, crawl through the desert, wade through the oceans, drown, save, be hunger, beg, forget pride. Your survival is more important. No one leaves home until home is a sweaty voice in your ear saying, leave, run away from me now. I don't know what I've become, but I know that anywhere is safer than here. I know. I see it on your faces. That's a hard one to listen to, isn't it? No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. And nobody wants to leave home, right? So my name is Jo, and I volunteer with an organization called AID Northwest. That stands for Advocates for Immigrants in Detention Northwest. I have to run that through. And can I get a slide? Thank you. So what we do is we work with immigrants in detention, as our name would suggest. I'm not going to assume anything, so I won't assume that you know certain things or don't, so forgive me if you know all this, but there is a detention center in Tacoma. It is the 4th largest immigrant detention center in the country. There's an organization called La Resistencia. I don't know if you've heard of it. They have been working for years to shut this place down. My numbers probably aren't perfect. They started off at around 6. Anyway, I forgot I wouldn't be able to read my notes under the slide. You know how that goes? So, I mean, I didn't forget, I didn't know. So I'm going to wing the numbers a little bit. Currently, I know that the detention center can hold 1,575 detainees. It started off at around 500, and then it grew to 900, and they were trying to grow it to 1,975, but that has not yet happened. There was a movement to shut it down, and there was a movement to stop privately owned prisons and detention centers, and that came and went. So they are renewed. They got their contract renewed for another, I think, 5 years. So, and we still call it the detention center. They changed it to processing center to sound a little better. Slide, please, or next. Thank you. So what we are is a community of mostly volunteers, and of course, we affirm the dignity of all immigrants, and we support immigrants in detention and welcome them upon their release. That's really what we do. Next. So we serve that slide, yeah, doesn't look like it looked for me. So, you know, the formatting. So in a typical month, we serve about 120 immigrants. These pictures that you can see here are, well, we'll go on and I'll explain a little bit. Next, please. Thank you. So the Tacoma, the Northwest Ice Processing Center is on the Tide Flats, which is right downtown Tacoma, right near the dome. Right near the Tacoma Dome at the port. It is, well, I guess I just said all that. So it's operated by a private corporation named Geo. Next, please. And that's just a map that shows you that red right there is where it's located. Next. So about 85% men, 15% women. From everywhere, people get the idea that most of the immigrants are from south of our border, and that's actually somewhat true, but you'd be surprised how many come from all around the world. People stay typically about 4 months. Less than 15% have criminal records. About 70% are deported. I hate when people read their slides, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And about 30% are released. The people who are released are the ones, of course, that we help, we assist. Thank you. That we assist after detention. Just got stuck. One second. It's fine. It's totally fine. I know these good people are patient, right? So many people don't know about this detention center, and it is a mile from Pacific near the theaters, Broadway. It's right there. Next. So I'm gonna let that sit up there for a second and say a few things. I'm sorry, my brain. We greet people upon their release from the detention center. That's one of our services, working with immigrants. And what we had was we don't use this anymore, but we had a RV that sat right outside of the detention center, the exit. And when people came out, we would be all, hi, welcome to life after detention. Because people are released right there on the Tide Flats in the evening in the clothes that they came in wearing. And often that's summer. And like if you got detained last July and were released this Friday, in your shorts and flip-flops, you would be very cold. And typically they're carrying a plastic bag, see-through plastic bag with their belongings and papers. And so just to give you an idea of, and I will tell you more about what we do from that point. I wanted to explain a little bit about different statuses in case people don't know the difference between an asylum seeker and a refugee and a migrant. I mean, there are many more statuses. An asylum seeker is somebody who has come to our border asking for safety. And there are typically 5 to 6 reasons that a person can seek asylum in the United States or in any country. Asylum seeking is a humanitarian right across the planet. This isn't an American thing. And if somebody comes to your border asking for asylum, according to international law, you're supposed to let them in. Next, please. So these are grounds for asylum. You are being persecuted in your country of origin, either for your race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group. Recently, I wouldn't think of being gay as a social group, but that's kind of where that falls under. And political opinion, and then humanitarian needs are people who are women who are exposed to, or going to be forced into genital mutilation or cutting. That's what you see up there, FGM or C. Trafficking, domestic violence is a funny one. It's not funny. Jeff Sessions in Trump's first round of whatever this is, removed domestic violence and gang violence from reasons that a person could seek asylum. It's gone back and forth. And honestly, the laws are so complicated and so in flux that even the attorneys that we work with have to look things up and check because it's always in flux, especially right now. Next, please. A refugee is very similar to an asylum seeker, but refugee is an official status that is that somebody gets outside of the country. So outside of their own country and outside of here. So typically a refugee will leave their country, often for a neighboring country, get refugee status and then apply to come to the US. And what Trump tried to do, and I guess succeeded, was you had to apply for asylum in the country that you were in. So if you left and you, let's say, I can't think now, my geography's gone. If you leave your country, you go to another country, get refugee status, and from there apply to the US, you need to apply for asylum first in the country that you're in. And that doesn't always work. Next, please. And migrant. I'm sorry, that's so, I hate slides like that. And I'm subjecting you to them. What I did was I took it straight from Amnesty International. So a migrant is a person who doesn't have any official status. They can be here because they're seeking economic resources, they're seeking work, they're here to be with family, they're here for education, they're here for a million different reasons. Often the same reasons that an asylum seeker or a refugee come, but they haven't applied for a status, so they don't have it. And I think the thing that we just need to remember is that they have the exact same humanitarian rights as any of us, as people with official statuses. Thank you. Next. Thank you. So, oh, right. This is, what time am I done? 5 to 10 more minutes. Okay, let's skip this one. Next, please. Thank you. These are challenges that a person lives with when they're in detention. So I have a doctorate and I have a hard time understanding the legal processes, and I'm very comfortable in English. It is so hard to understand the legal processes, especially if you don't understand the language and nobody's explaining them to you. There are language barriers, there's limited access to any kind of spiritual or religious support, and staying connected to family and friends is very difficult. Often phones are taken away. There are payphones in the detention center, but they're more expensive than normal payphones should be, as is their, what do you call it? Not cafeteria, it's like a canteen where you can buy food. It's very, very expensive. Next, please. Next. Thank you. So we are parked outside of the detention center. We also have some other services, but this is kind of the big one, is our welcome center. And when people come out, volunteers greet them. They're usually released around 5 or 6 p.m. So it's already getting dark, it's cold. People get moved around in detention. I don't know if you know that, but they might come from a prison in Texas and get moved during the night and not necessarily know. It all has to do with beds. I don't know what it has to do with, actually. I'm making it up. No idea why people get moved around the way they do. And sometimes people will literally come out of the detention center thinking that they're in the other Washington, because why on earth would there be 2 Washingtons anyway, right? how would you know? So they don't know necessarily where they are, or how do you get from the tide flats anywhere? There's no bus, there's nothing. So our organization was started by an amazing woman who, well, I'll just quickly, when she was retired, she started parking in front of the detention center, eventually got a law degree, and amazing, Peggy Herman. And a lot of what we do is help them get to the next step. So you wouldn't believe how much of that is being a travel agent. Literally, it's a lot of phones, and we have a bunch of phones. We try to connect people with their families, get somebody to pay for an airline ticket because actually they were on their way to Chicago or New York or Florida, and now they're here. And so that is a lot of just organizing. And then we have people who also drive to the airport, drive to the train station, drive to buses. We offer clothes that are appropriate for whatever the weather is at the time. Also clothes that are clean. Sometimes people have traveled very, very, very far for very long in the clothes that they're released in. And those clothes don't get washed while you're in prison, while you're in detention. Yeah. And people feel ashamed. I mean, you know, you come out. So we have all kinds of clothes for men and women, and shoes and socks and hats. If it's winter, we've got a ton of clothes. And we offer them backpacks so that they're not traveling across the country with a little plastic bag, and the backpacks are appropriate for planes. All that's worked out. We give them a sack lunch, snacks, access to the phone to call their people, and rides. Now, sometimes people can't get a flight that night. That's the part of the job that I'm the worst at, is that flight arrangement, you know? And so they need a place to go for that night or a night or two. We had a house that was a wonderful sanctuary place with bedrooms where people could go and stay up to 30 days. Currently, we are houseless. We don't have the house, and yeah. So we work with other organizations and people who are willing to open their homes to immigrants for a few days, maybe a week. World Relief is an organization that is very helpful. Next slide, please. So we call that the Welcome Center, what we do over at the detention center itself. We also have volunteers who visit the detention center, and the COVID changed a lot of that, but there's visiting, there's letter writing, and well, that's it, visiting and letter writing, so that people don't feel so lonely, you know. And we also help them with phone access, phone cards. The accompaniment network is volunteers who accompany people after detention to appointments, shopping, ride the bus with people to show them how, you know, how we do it here, and just going to Social Security or whatever it is that they need. You can just imagine nobody should have to do that alone. And we give referrals to community partners. Next, please. That's the vision of that's our RV, that's our Welcome Center. And it parks right outside of the detention center. We're getting rid of it. I think it's still there. And we have some big tents out there right now. And we're getting a little tiny home instead, easier to navigate than an RV. And we are there at the mercy of ICE. ICE lets us park there, and we have been working with them for years. And we cultivate that relationship so that they let us, and they tell people, go outside to the nice people, they'll help you. And there's working with it. There are all kinds of service work that we can do. Some is working within systems, and some is working to dismantle systems, right? So, okay, next, please. Okay, that's visiting. Next, please. That's the accompaniment network. Next, please. And phone access. Next, please. These are some of our community partners. These are fantastic organizations. I'm sure some of you are familiar with these. One that's not up here that we don't work with directly, but they're an amazing resource for immigrants is Refugees Northwest through Lutheran Community Services. I work with them in a different thing that I do, and they're fabulous, and that's all I'll say. You can see these. Next, please. Okay, without our help, people would just be released and wandering around town. I don't know what they would do. You know, without language, without a place to stay, without money. Next, please. And there's always the ask at the end, right? And next, please. There's a community meeting every other month on Wednesday morning at 9:30, and we hold volunteer orientations as well. They're more than, I'm not sure about the quarterly right now. And did I make it? Okay. Yeah. About visiting the detention center. Yeah. So you would need to be a volunteer for AID Northwest. You'd get some training, and we ask for a commitment, I think, of seeing people. You have to see them at least, or write to them at least once a month. Some kind of ongoing. Yeah, Richard. Oh, I'm sorry. Where does the community roundtable meet? And it's been in various churches, and it's always on the AID Northwest website. And I can chat with, I'll stick around for a little bit and chat with people who want a little more. I don't want to take up more of your time though. So thank you for having me here.
All right, and I think we had some good suggestions for ways to set an intention about how you might take this work forward, whether that's volunteering with AID Northwest, whether that is just helping to educate those in the community about the fact that we have this huge detention center here in Tacoma, 4th largest in the nation. So we're going to take just a moment to set an intention. And now please rise in body or spirit in our closing hymn in the Teal Hymnal 1018, Come and Go With Me.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land.
closing words are on my phone. Yeah, I had it all pulled up and then I pulled up other stuff. So our closing words are by Wayne Arison. And he says, "Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear. The stakes are always high. Take courage, for deep down, there is also another truth. You are not alone." And we will join me for the extinguishing words of the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And then if you will rise and join us in the blessing song.
Don't forget to check your emails and announcements for the upcoming reception for the artist. I will make sure that gets out in a timely manner.